Hi, everybody. Welcome to Thursday, October the 1st. COMM 140's lecture today is going to be delivered via video due to some of the issues that we encountered on Tuesday. So, hope this video finds everybody well. We're still waiting on the COVID test results for my youngest stepson. He went yesterday afternoon, so fingers crossed. We should get those in a couple of days and hopefully it will be negative. So what I'd like to do today is I want to go over again chapter 13 in hopes that we won't have any technical issues today. I don't think we should. By me recording this and then you viewing it, hopefully everything will come across perfect. So just as a reminder, you do have an assignment that's due for me tomorrow. By 11:59 p.m. That is a result of this chapter 13 in oral communications. So let me go through it again, and just to make sure that we're all on the same level as to the importance that oral communications plays for you, not only as a student, because you will be required to do presentations, but also when you get into the business world, you will be doing them. So oral presentations, everybody, are commonplace in the business world today. In some regard, you are going to have to do oral presentations, whether you work for a small independent company, whether you work for a larger chain, somewhere along the line, you're going to have to do oral presentation of some kind. Yes, it can be nerve-wracking. I think I would be lying if I said that it wasn't nerve-wracking. But through practice, you become more competent at doing them, and you'll see the value that it has when you get out into that work world. So, if you wanted to take a look at the PowerPoint presentation again, you sure can. I'm going to go through today and highlight what I think are some of the more important parts when we talk about doing an oral presentation, everybody. So, first off, remember we talked about oral presentations and what they need to include, and that is it has to have a simple structure. Okay, you don't want to be too detailed in your presentation. Yes, the oral presentation, if you're using a PowerPoint or a Prezi, emphasizes it, but they're there to listen to you speak. So keep this structure simple. Remember that it has to have a specific purpose. Okay, that will help with the delivery on it, and that it has to focus on some sort of clear idea. Keep it have that main idea there with you. The advantage to the spoken word, everybody. So doing these oral presentations, the advantage is that it provides immediate reaction to you, the speaker. You can gauge by their nonverbal communication how they are receiving the information. And if you need to step it up, switch it up, you can do that as you're going through your presentation. So really be aware of the nonverbal. Remember, we did talk about this before. Nonverbal counts for about 93% of communication today. So you can really gauge how your audience is receiving that information. There were types of oral presentations that we looked at, everybody. Remember, those were staff meetings. They could be a sales presentation. Okay, you could be working at a car dealership and have to do a sales presentation on a new Toyota that has come out. Could be an oral report or a briefing, could be a speech. You could be part of a club or a society or an organization, and you may be required to do some sort of presentation to that club, maybe focusing on a new fundraising idea that you're doing. Okay, it could also be a workshop, some seminar, some sort of training session. Okay, you might be hired by Walmart as an example, and you need to train new staff as they come in. Okay, so that would be an example of an oral presentation. We also talked about analyzing the audience and why we need to do that before a presentation. Okay, there's nothing worse than doing a presentation and you are not aware of who your audience is. Okay, it's not going to go over well. So when we analyze the audience, everybody, what are some of those main points that we need to take a look at? Okay, so some of those points were, why are they there? What is the purpose of this presentation? Okay, how can you connect with people? I've always said through communication in any regard, being able to have connections with people is critical to communication. Okay, what is their attitude? Okay, are they happy to be there? Are they going to be receptive to the information? Are they not happy to be there? Okay, what are they expecting? What do they already know, right? You don't want to start talking about things that they already know if they've been employees of a company for a long time. So keep that in mind. How knowledgeable are they? Okay. And who are they? Are you presenting to the senior executive of a business? Are you doing your presentation to newcomers? Okay. New people into the organization where you have to go through what the organization is all about, that sort of thing. So make sure that you analyze the audience, everybody. As well, you want to analyze that situation. Okay, what is the purpose of the presentation? Is this a learning tool for them? Do they need that visual of like PowerPoint or Prezi behind? Where are you going to be doing your presentation? What is the setting, everybody? Are you going to be in a large room, like an auditorium? Are you going to be doing this in a boardroom? Maybe it's very informal and you're doing it in the lunchroom. Okay. Is it again formal or informal? And are there going to be other speakers? Because if there's going to be other speakers there, everybody, you need to make sure that you're conscious of time, right? If it's an hour that you've got with these people and you're one of three speakers that's coming in and you have to allow for opening remarks and closing remarks, maybe you've only got a 10-minute time slot within that presentation. So please be aware of that. And then we talked about structuring that presentation, everybody. And there were three different types of structures that they talked about in your textbook. And that first one, everybody, was logical. Okay. Points that you are making within your presentation have to relate to the purpose of the presentation. So you need to be able to relate what it is you're presenting to the topic. Okay, so make sure that you are aware of that logical structure. Okay, there's also a narrative structure, and this is where you're telling a story. Okay, and management level, the skill is really valued in being able to stand in front of a group of people and basically tell them a story. Okay, you might be telling them the beginning of the organization, how it's evolved over time, new things that you're going to be implementing into maybe the strategy of the company. So that narrative, being able to tell a story. Okay. And then formal, right? We talked a little bit about formal presentations. And this is where you needed to have the intro, so an introduction, the body or that main part of your presentation, and then the conclusion, everybody. Okay, so those were three structures that we were talking about. Now, if you're following along in your textbook, everybody, those ones are listed on page 480 in chapter 13 of the textbook that we're using. Okay, so three different parts structuring presentations. Now, what I want to talk to you about is that developing that three-part presentation. Okay, so this falls under that formal category that we just talked about a little bit before. Now, you're going to notice some similarities with this, everybody. When you are writing a paper, for my class or for anybody else's class, you're going to notice that you have to have an introduction, you have to have a body, and you have to have a conclusion within that paper. And that's the same thing with the formal presentation. This is what we require. Okay, so what is an introduction, everybody? I'm on page 481. Okay, that introduction introduces your topic. Okay, it tells me as the listener what I'm going to be listening to. Okay, so when you're doing your introduction, some things to keep in mind, and this really ties into that 1 minute presentation that I'm having you do and uploading it into YouTube. I'm asking you to basically introduce yourself. Tell me who you are. Okay, so if I'm in a formal business setting and let's say I'm doing a presentation I'm doing a presentation on medicine at college, for example, maybe doing it to another institution, I would stand up, I would say, hello, my name is Linda Tooth. I am a part-time instructor at Medicine at College. Medicine at College recently celebrated their 50th anniversary. We began in Medicine Hat in 1965, moved to our present location in 1970, and I would build on it from there. So, introduction, everybody, you're introducing the topic that you're going to be speaking about. Part two of that formal introduction, or sorry, part two of that formal presentation that you're doing is you are now going in and you're creating the body of your presentation. Okay. This is where you're going to give specific examples. You would clearly announce each point. Okay. Anticipate questions and give answers within this body. Okay. Present info with context and analysis. So you had your introduction, you've introduced the topic. Now you're getting into sort of the meat, I call it. Sorry to my vegetarian listeners, but you get into the meat of the presentation. What is this presentation all about? Okay. And that's the body of your presentation. And the PowerPoint slides go through that, everybody, developing that three-part presentation, focusing on the body. Now, the last part that we come to is our conclusion. So we've had the introduction, introduced the topic, had the body of the paper where the meat is, right? Now we're moving into that conclusion, right? Where we want to be able to reinstate our main points. We're basically wrapping it up, okay? So you're reinstating main points, you're challenging, or there's a call to action as you wrap this up. You might want to return to the first point. What is it you were talking about? Okay, and you could ask questions in your conclusion, everybody. So that three-part of the formal presentation was introduction. Okay, you're introducing the topic. You had the body of your presentation. And then last but not least, you have the conclusion where you're sort of wrapping it all up. Okay, you're reinstating main points, putting that back into my mind about why I'm there. Okay, there might be some sort of call to action. You could return to the first point, and then you're going to ask questions, everybody. Always a great way to sort of tie up your presentation. If you find that maybe you're one of those speakers who goes a little bit too fast, and now you've got some time at the end, you could certainly be asking questions. Okay, so that is the end of the first video. I'm going to come back in a minute, carrying on with chapter 13. So I will see you in a minute. Thank you.